Hi everybody, my name is Suze and I'm a divine feminine energy healer and guide. Thank you so much for being here with me today. We are going to talk about something that I see circling around right now that is a huge deal to me in working with women and working with feminine energy and working with women who are really on the track of emotional availability, emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, healing your heart space, being in relationships with men or other people around you where there is deep emotional connection, deep emotional availability, where emotions are seen and heard and dealt with in a respectful, honoring way, and moving away from these old paradigms where emotions have been shamed, suppressed, repressed, denied, dismissed, avoided, numbed out from, run away from in any kind of a coping mechanism, self-sabotaging or other sabotaging, emotionally sabotaging in a connection, any way of getting away from emotions. Part of that is this whole idea of toxic positivity and emotional or spiritual bypassing. And this is something that really gets me fired up because it is so damaging to the heart. It is so annihilating to feminine energy. And it will create the feminine energy will go into a state of rage because divine feminine knows this is not right in the spiritual sense. It is denying an aspect of our beings. We are emotional, and denying someone an emotional experience because someone thinks that it is negative, these are negative emotions, or you're being a victim, or you're overreacting, and then telling the person to focus on the positivity is denying, repressing, dismissing, avoiding, distracting, running away from, invalidating the negative, quote, negative emotional experience and shaming that emotional experience and trying to force someone to be positive. It doesn't actually work that way. And you're actually creating more resistance. Yes, clearly we all want to be happy. We all would rather be in the, we all know that we're, quote, supposed to be happy, or we're, quote, supposed to be in the positive emotions. But the path of moving from, quote, negative emotion to, quote, positive emotion is not by someone shaming you there and telling you you should be looking at it in a positive way, or telling you that other people have it worse than you, or any kind of a thing that is denying and validating the current experience. You are running away from the present moment instead of acknowledging, embracing the current moment, no matter how, quote, negative it may look. And in the embracing of it, you learn to move through it and use the pain to your power. Queen energy. Queen energy always learns how to embrace the pain and turn it into your power. Now, obviously, that is quite a process, and that process is something I continuously break down bit by bit by bit on this channel. So I don't want to go down there. I am simply talking about the idea of the toxic positivity or emotional spiritual bypassing, of shaming the current experience instead of understanding there is value in the current experience, even though it may be perceived as negative. There's actually value because there's actually information to be gained. I say this all the time. When can we start looking at emotions as opportunities of wealth of information about yourself and about your life, about your value system, about your belief system, about what may be in alignment in your life currently, what may be out of alignment in your life currently, and information, wealth of information about what's your next step. If you're on a path of growth and you are earnestly growing in your life, or you are on a soul ascension path, you are on a spiritual path, you are on an emotional maturity path, you're constantly growing, which means you're constantly looking for the next step outside of your comfort zone, because that is growth. A willingness to consistently step outside your comfort zone and recognize that that is scary. But you're never going to be able to step outside your comfort zone if you're first not seeing what this present moment is offering you of wealth of information and clues of where your next step actually is. This is a very intricate journey. So if you're denying or dismissing or avoiding or running away or invalidating or shaming anything that's happening right now by labeling it as negative, you're missing the entire point. And looking at someone else and pointing a finger at someone else and telling them that they're being negative or telling them that they're being in victim mindset, maybe they are, but maybe they're not. And maybe they actually need to be helped led through the process, through their pain. Maybe they need to be given a safe space to bring the pain out into the light. Because when we bring our shadow aspects forward into the light, that is when growth and healing happens. But those things inside of us that need healing are not going to come out into the light if we're trying to bring them out into a space that is constantly telling us we're wrong or we're bad or we're negative. It's just going to get tucked back in and shoved back down in there further. Emotional maturity and emotional availability and emotional intelligence is about, like I said, learning that any emotion is simply a wealth of information about yourself and your journey and where you're going. Emotions can be used to your power. Even the most, quote, negative of emotions, they have another side. I've done videos on this channel. I invite you to go back and look. I've talked about anger. I've talked about a lot of these things, these big emotions that people are actually scared of, and therefore they label them as bad, right? Anger is bad. No, it's not, actually. Anger is the part of you that loves you. Anger is the part of you that's trying to tell you there's boundaries that need to be set. Anger is the part of you that's trying to get your attention of where you need your own love and where you have denied yourself access to your love. Anger is the part of you that's showing you where your needs are and that you need to stand up and take charge of your needs and make sure they're being met and walk away from people, places, and things that are not able to meet you there. Anger is a very powerful emotion, which means it is a very wealthy emotion in the sense of wealth of information. Sadness, grief, anger is actually grief, but save that for another day. Grief, anxiety, these are big. Depression, these are big energetic states that people are afraid of if they don't know how, have not been given the skills or learned the skills on their own of how to navigate and manage these big energetic states. They're not negative. They're simply indicative of a need. They're big energetic states that are trying to get our attention of where we need to love ourselves harder, not less. Not by shaming and saying, oh, I got to look at the positive side. You'll get there eventually, but it's not by forcing yourself, shaming yourself to look at it in a positive way, or not allowing yourself to fully feel the grief and understand what it is you're actually grieving. What are you actually angry about? And how are you angry at yourself? If you're angry towards someone else, there's always an element of you being angry towards yourself. What are you angry at yourself about? Where have you disappointed yourself? Where have you let yourself down? Where have you allowed someone else to do things to you that weren't acceptable to you? And you let it slide, and now you're angry. This dismissal, this avoidance that other people put on you with this toxic positivity is simply indicative of their own inability that they have not learned to manage their own big energetic states. And that seeing you struggle in a, quote, negative emotional state, quote, negative, seeing you struggle is simply indicative that they're experiencing anxiety watching you. And they haven't learned how to manage and deal with their own anxiety. So now that's creating an energetic state in them where they feel like they need to fix you. They need to make sure you're okay. And the fact that you're not okay is bothering them so intensely that they're going to dip in and control what's happening, or try to control what's happening with you to move you into a, quote, better emotional state so that they can feel better. Which is actually just enabling. Which is enabling more emotional immaturity, which is enabling someone to stay in the comfort zone of the cesspool of whatever it is they're dealing with and consistently do loops and loops and loops and loops with these, quote, negative emotions instead of learning how to transmute them into your own empowerment. This toxic positivity, projecting it on someone else, or this bypassing and shaming someone else and telling them they should be more positive, or telling them that they're making a big deal out of nothing, or telling them that they're overreacting, or telling them that someone else has it way worse than you, so deal with it. All of that is enabling more of these lower vibrational states and these, quote, negative emotional states. You're enabling this looping, victiming, codependency, anxiety-ridden states. It's enough. It's enough. Feminine energy, emotional energy needs to feel seen and heard. And when feminine energy, she, not necessarily human, when she, the feminine energy, when she, emotional energy, feels seen and heard, then she is able to release it and move on. But if she is attempting to be seen and heard, and she is squashed and shamed and suppressed and shoved back down and forced to look at it in a different way before she's ready, healing doesn't happen, and she gets more denied her bigger power. And the human gets denied their growth. The human gets denied their emotional availability. They get denied growth on their emotional maturity. And the more emotionally immature people we have, the more we have hurt people hurting other people, because they're not healing, they're hurting. And we're all hurting each other and wondering why nothing is working. It's enough. I hope this video helps someone. I pray that it reaches the people that it needs to reach. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and have a beautiful rest of your day.